Thanks for hearing from my channel. Please like, subscribe and support us if you feel interested. Empowerment Arc Chapter 10 The Battle of the Goblin Village. The Fang Wolf Family. The rulers of the Eastern Plains. The cause of many headaches among the traders from Eastern Empire and other countries bordering the Jura Forest. Each is a C-rank monster, and could easily devour a negligent adventurer. However, they were mostly feared as a pack. When gathered, they move like a single entity, capable of organized attack. And, as a pack, they are often evaluated as a B rank. The Eastern Plains are located adjacent to the Empire's wheat fields. As it is the Empire's primary food source, it boasts of impenetrable defense. Thus, although the Fang Wolves are rather cunning and possess excellent abilities, breaking through the defense would be exceedingly difficult. Furthermore, even if they did break through, they would only earn the Empire's wrath, and would probably be hunted into extinction. The pack leader understood that much. The many decades spent skirmishing with and learning from the expanding Empire instilled that ominous premonition in them. As long as they preyed only upon small-time merchants, the Empire wouldn't get serious. However, if they even once decided to intrude upon the wheat fields, the Empire will bear its fangs. As a result, he had prevented many mishaps from beginning true incidents. Those were the thoughts that filled the pack leader's head. However, will this not stop his species' evolution? So his instincts screamed. Currently, the pack did not lack provision. If people were attacked and eaten, they were more of a snack. That's because humans aren't born with a lot of inherent magical energy. For the Fang Wolves, a meal was nothing more than absorbing magical energy. Fight strong monsters or slaughter many humans, and evolve into a calamity-class monster. But as things stand, neither method seemed very plausible. The Empire was simply far too strong. However, should they simply continue attacking merchants, their goal will be but a dream within a dream. But they have heard of a paradise for powerful monsters, a forest set on blessed lands far in the south. However, to reach those lands, they'd have to traverse the Jura Forest. The inhabitants of which aren't anything special. The many times they hunted those of them that ventured into the plains proved this point. In that case, why have they not invaded the forest yet? Storm Dragon Veldora, the existence of that dragon is the reason. Even while he was sealed away, the ominous energy he emitted was enough to frighten them into submission. They were convinced that the forest's inhabitants received Veldora's protection. And that is why they can live inside that fiendish aura. Had they believed otherwise, they would surely go mad. Until now, they lived with these shameful thoughts, and held back their urge to invade. Yes. Until now. The pack leader looks into the forest with his blood-red, sharp eyes. That despised, evil dragon's presence had vanished. Now, they could freely ravage through the forest, and become its supreme rulers. Oh, the very thought whet his appetite. And so, he howled the order to advance. Having become the guardian, I contemplated the next step. Personally, even with that title, I think their treatment of me is too grandiose. In any case, I gathered and studied the goblins' fighters. Ellipsis. They are practically falling apart. Doesn't seem like I can depend on them during combat. Also, the remaining goblins, kids and elderly, came to observe our preparation. No reinforcement from other tribes, either. As things stand, it's a small miracle that the chief hasn't lost his mind yet. Because even if they run away, they'd just die from hunger or thirst. And, the goblins whom I gathered are staring at me as if I am a deity. What a heavy burden I took up. Feels especially so since I just wanted to lead a carefree life away from responsibility. Do you all understand the situation? Not the kind of atmosphere to make a joke, and I don't have any good words of encouragement, so I went straight to the point. Yes. This shall become the fight to decide whether we live or die. We have already said our prayers. The goblin leader was the first to reply. The rest nodded in approval. And while there are some with trembling knees, that's only to be expected. Heart might be willing, but the flesh is weak, something like that. Don't get so worked up, relax. Even those eager may face defeat. Just focus on doing your best. Tried saying something cool. I, at least, felt better, so maybe it'll have some effect. In any case, should we begin? Failure will most likely result in the goblin's certain demise. But still, I chose to be going my way about this. TL note. Reference to a 1944 film. Ahead, with arrogance. That's my choice. Alright, put your spirit into it. That is the first order I gave them. And from then on, many more orders will follow. Those words announced that the moment had come. And the sun had set. The Fang Wolves' pack leader awoke. That night there was a full moon. The perfect witness to their battle. He slowly awoke his flesh, and gazed over his dominion. The pack, seeing their leader like that, bated their breath. How tensely they await. So thought the leader. Tonight, they will crush that goblin village, and so take the first step into the Jura forest. Afterwards, hunt the nearby monsters, as to prove themselves as the forest's rulers. And some days soon, continue southward in search of greater power. We have the power to accomplish this, they thought. Our claws rip through the flesh of any beast, and our fangs pierce any armor. Yun. The pack leader howled. The time to trample their foes had come. However, there was one thing that bothered him. A few days ago, a brother he had sent on reconnaissance had brought back bewildering information. A small monster releasing monstrous energy. That monster's demonic aura far surpassed that of the leader. There could be no such thing. So concluded the leader. He had not perceived such a threat, and all the monsters he met were weak. There had been nothing to call resistance as of yet. Only that one time, 10 or so goblins had murdered a few of their brethren, but never again. Chances are, the scout was far too excited to see rationally. Thinking that, the boss only looked ahead. And in front of him, lay the village. It was just where the scouts reported. Using the wounded goblin, they had marked this village. So now, they can hardly offer proper resistance. The leader was a cunning wolf. He wouldn't let his guard down. However, the village was not as expected. As if it belonged to humans, it was fenced. They had dismantled every house and erected a wall. And, in the middle of the entrance ahead, stood a single slime. How ingenious. So the leader laughed. They left an opening to defend against our numbers. Were his thoughts. After all, they were slow-witted, trash of a monster. That wall will quickly topple before our claw and fang. We shall show them our might. With these thoughts, he ordered the attack. And as one, 10 fang wolves assaulted the walls. They truly were a single being. That was their true worth, their unity in combat. Movement made possible through telepathic communication. A form of communication is many times faster than words. The first attack should have destroyed the walls. Surely, the leader imagined, the goblins will soon realize the futility of their plan and panic. Instead, it was the leader who let out a voice of surprise. The attack squad was repelled. And, there was something rolling on the ground while splashing blood among them, too. What had happened? Without a hint of panic, he sought answers. The slime had not moved. Did he do something? And then, the closest of his subordinates, it's the one from that day. The one that possessed an aura stronger than our Lord. So he reported. How foolish. He thought while looking at the slime. They would sometimes be born in the plains. You'd exaggerate if you called them monsters, a pitiful existence. To surpass myself in a demonic aura, impossible. But then, Alriite. Stop right there. If you withdraw now, I will not pursue it. Depart at once, is what the slime declared. The Fang Wolves' leader was a crafty and cunning monster. Having lived many years and experienced many things, he'd never neglect making a plan. He was cool-headed and possessed courage tested through many battles. His many experiences, and the information he collected, all rejected the presence of a being stronger than him among the goblins. But the leader had, at that one moment, made a fatal mistake. And that mistake has decided their fate. Uhuru. Guru. Miserable existence. I'll pulverize you. He ordered the attack. Wow, that was a surprise. Didn't think they'd attack so suddenly. I thought we'd start with a conversation, now all my lines went to waste. All the practice went to waste. I even practiced during break. The first order I gave was to be guided to the wounded. Well, even if I add 10 or so more to the 60, the odds won't change all that much. However, being idolized makes me want to do all I can. They were placed in a rather large but filthy-looking building. So about the wounded. They seem to have received some first aid, but will surely die as things stand. What deep wounds. Ripped open by claw and fang, and their wounds had festered. Have to go all out here. And so, I absorbed the closest one. And, having dressed the wounds, spit him out. The village chief seemed to have been trying to say something, stuttering, actually, for a while, but I ignored him. And, going through every patient, I repeated the process. After many patients, I finally looked back at my handiwork. For some reason, the goblins were all prostrating themselves before me. What the hell are they doing? In any case, it seems they thought I had healed them with some inherent restorative power. Since that reaction was unpleasant, for the remaining wounded I spit the medicine out and treated them right there. And so, some time was spent on healing. Having finished medical treatment, I relayed the next orders. The next thing to do would be to build a wall. Cutting down trees to build it would also be good, but we may not have enough time. Have to do with what we have. So without a hint of hesitation, we destroyed houses and recycled them into walls. One that would circle around the entire village. And while we were building, I sent out the brightest goblins, armed with bows, to scout. The enemy are wolves, so they have an excellent sense of smell, so I made sure to tell the scouts to avoid reckless action. Their resolve is impressive, even at the cost of my life. That's the kind of aura they emit. Don't they love to exaggerate? The wall was finished in the evening the day after I arrived. I put on some finishing touches. Right, I increased its durability with my spider's thread. And by the way, I didn't forget to place a trap using steel thread, either. Wouldn't it be great if they blindly attacked the walls? They'd be cut to pieces. After this fight, I definitely can't forget to go around collecting components. And at the front, we left an opening. Here, I'll place some sticky thread, and that will be it for preparations. Now, all I can do is wait for the scouts. About that time, the goblins I treated started waking up. Having them touch my body, I confirmed their condition. Seems like the restorative pills are pretty serious stuff. I thought they'd need to be treated many times, but it seems to have been super effective. What a pleasant surprise. Then, we had gathered the remaining wood at the center of the village, and started a fire. Kind of like a campfire, except without the merry faces. We have to stay on guard the whole night. As I don't need sleep, I naturally offered to stay on watch, but there could be no such thing. We can hardly allow Rimuru-sama to further exert yourself. As he said, we shall stay watch. Please rest, Rimuru-sama. That's right. As they said, all the responses came. And I appreciate the sentiment, it's just these guys are probably so much more tired than I am. Nothing I can do, I guess. So we decided to keep a lookout on rotation. In the dead of the night, the scouts had come back. The wolves had begun to move, so they reported. They had some wounds, but all returned alive. I used to think they were filthy and ugly monsters. But I grew sympathetic to them over these 2 days. In prayers, each and every one of them wished for these battles to end. Those were my thoughts as I set up the sticky thread and stood at the gate. The battle began with the Fang wolves' attack. I was worried if the gate would hold, but the wolves cannot mount an attack that would penetrate them. Seems like the traps were effective as well. At least that went well. For now, Alriite, stop right there. If you withdraw now, I will not pursue it. Depart at once, is what I called out. And I was completely ignored. The wolves moved at once, and began assaulting the gate from all directions. Well, it can't be helped. Hopefully things will proceed according to plan. Having predicted this outcome, I left small openings in the fence. An arrow slit. Even the clumsy goblins are capable of shooting through that hole. Many wolves were hit by arrows, and fell whimpering. There were also wolves that tried to dig through those openings, but Zasu. Every time, they'd be hit from both sides by stone axes and perish. Though the goblins hadn't even practiced for 2 hours, they were desperate. Desperate to understand my directions and put them to use. And the result is the current situation. Without a question, the Fang wolves are strong. As single beast, they are capable of taking on many goblins at once. As a pack, they might be truly formidable. But that's the key. Just hit them a few times, one at a time. Divide and conquer. In short, brains will always triumph over brawn. The strongest animals in the world are those blessed with supreme intelligence, humans. How unlucky. While thinking these things, I felt the cold stare of the pack leader. He's but an animal, and thinks he can defeat me, how conceited. The pack leader was bewildered by this sudden turn of events. His subordinates are beginning to panic. This could be bad. Fang wolves are as strong as they are united. Leader's distrust of his subordinates has always led to a single, devastating result. He had understood that much. And so, this was where he had committed the gravest mistake. He was angry that the wall wouldn't come down. But, he was also afraid that his comrades' anger was directed at him. The leader needs to show his power. Or, he's the strongest one in the pack, he should be able to do this himself. They may think. And at that moment, it was settled. No one took their eyes off the leader's movement. However, to the goblins, it appeared as if he had disappeared. For me, he moved as if in slow motion. It all went according to plan. I've thought up quite a few scenarios, and the battle had played out according to one of those. As you'd expect from beasts. They'd never triumph over a human. The leader was caught in the sticky thread. I lay at the entrance. With his strength, perhaps he could cut through it. I don't have a way to verify that point, not that it even matters. The goal of the sticky thread was to hold the leader down if for but a moment. Without a pause in movement, the water blade may miss, and it'd look uncool. To say nothing of the worst-case scenario, hitting a friend during combat. Well, those kinds of accidents do happen on the battlefield. I did have a trap prepared to avoid that, but seems like setting it up was a waste of effort. This guy never came up with a better plan than destroying the walls. I did consider laying some steel thread traps at the entrance as well, but considering all the situations where they'd avoid them, I decided against it. Right now, I have to play the part of an overwhelmingly powerful monster. It's for that reason that I set the traps. And without any hesitation, I decapitated the leader wolf. That's how easily he died. Hear me, Fang wolves. Your leader has been felled by me. I give you a choice. Servitude or death. So, how will they respond? Having just arranged the leader's funeral, I'd rather not extend that list to a bunch of mad wolves looking for a place to die. Status name. Rimuru Tempest species. Slime divine protection. The Stormcrest titles. None magic. None skills. Unique skill, Great Sage. Unique skill, Predator. Slime-specific skills, Dissolve, Absorb, Regenerate. Extra skill, Water manipulation. Extra skill, Magic perception. Acquired skills, Black Serpent, Heat detection, Noxious breath. Centipede, Paralysis breath. Spider, Sticky thread, Steel threat. Bat, Ultrasound waves. Lizard, Body armor. Resistances. Thermal fluctuation resistance X. Physical attack resistance. Pain resistance. Electricity resistance. Paralysis resistance. Thanks for hearing from my channel. Please like, subscribe and support us if you feel interested.